Hello and welcome to a new episode of Yes, I Can Living. I am your host, Kathy Alessandra, also known as your Yes, I Can coach. And I'm super excited here to have today my business coach as well, Joy Chudacoff, and we'll be interviewing her. But before we get to that, I just want to make sure you've connected with us over in our Facebook community. Yes, I Can Women. If you Google search for that or shoot me a message and I'll make sure you get in it. We have got a lot going on in that community. We're going to be giving some free trainings. We have our networking lunch monthly so that you can connect with some of the women in this community for conversation, connection, and collaboration, because that's what it's really all about, right? It's about starting that conversation so you can really make a connection with somebody, and then you never know what's going to happen from that. Collaboration is where it begins. Anyway, as I said, we have the illustrious Joy Chudacoff with us today. Now, I have known Joy for, we got to be going on 15, 20 years.
It's a long time.
A long time, right? She has been my business coach for a number of those years. In fact, some of my critical turning point years. And she's an amazing woman. Let me read you a little bit of her bio. So we have the official part here. Joy Chudacoff is the leader for business lifestyle design for women. An entrepreneur for 3 decades, Joy is to have said, she says she has X-ray vision, and she does, believe me, she gets downloads too. Those are amazing. When it comes to helping successful businesswomen get where they are, from where they are to where they want to go. Before starting her own business advisory practice, Smart Women, Smart Solutions, Joy earned a highly profitable company. Joy owned, my goodness, I guess I've had too much coffee today. Joy owned a highly profitable company in the medical sales and marketing industry, selling that business at a handsome profit. And for 15 years, she has stepped into helping women to really grow their business. So Joy, welcome to the show today. I'm super excited to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here, Kathy.
Yeah. This will be a good little conversation. We'll try not to make it a coaching session, but
yeah, I'm excited about it.
right. Me too. So if you would just share with our listeners, you've had a business before, you sold it, stepped into something new about 15 years ago or so. Tell us a little bit about why you started your business, and how you really move forward in all that.
So I'll just give a brief snapshot. So for the women listening about my first business, and then we'll really dive into the second one. But for the women listening, I started my first business when I was 29 for one simple reason. I had a roommate at the time. Obviously, I wasn't married, no kids. I had a roommate who paid me $500 a month to rent the loft in my apartment, and I wanted her to move out. But I did not have the $500 extra per month. I was working for an employer to have her move out. And so my first business was literally started because I wanted to earn an extra $500 a month to ask her to move out. And that business went on to generate a very handsome revenue and profit margin over the next 12 years. And I ended up selling it to a competitor. And why did I do that if it was doing so well? It was a great business. And it started to become more regulated by the health insurance industry. But at the same time, I was approaching 40, and I was going to give birth to my first child. I had my kids very late. I married late in life, and I did not want to do all that traveling. I had set up a business that required me to be there all the time and to be traveling all the time. And so it was just the right time. Mm-hmm. And Kathy, from that, there was an article in Time magazine early in the 2000s, and it had 3 very distinct looking women on the cover. And it was talking about how women would change the world. And that was 16 years ago, ladies. However, it talked about the challenges that women were having starting businesses. And I thought, wow, I had a business at that time for 12 years, and it had become a successful business. And that's what really led me to the coaching, consulting, and advisory of women for almost 16 years now, is I saw a need in the marketplace. And I thought, I think I have something to offer here. And so I started that Smart Women, Smart Solutions. I started my business to help women.
Mm-hmm. Love that. And I think, I'm going to tell this story too, as far as how I actually met you. Because I think people, they question, their efforts on social media or email newsletter, that kind of thing. When Joy was, when I started my business and we connected, I had younger kids. And Joy had made a post. I'm not even sure how we got connected on social media. And it may have been because of the people I was following. In fact, I'm almost sure it was Melanie Benson Strife and some of those other Allie Brown and those people that I was following at that time. And we're talking, probably at least 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And Joy had made a post about something that really resonated with me in the work-life balance arena and growing your business, but having, children, and how do you work all that? And I then signed up for her email newsletter. So then I continued getting, her weekly email newsletter with blog posts and ideas on how to find that. And it just really, it resonated with me. Well, because of that, you used to do circles. I mean, you've way expanded now.
Oh, yes. That's how I started. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly. She used to do circles. I bought into one of the circles. I want to say it was maybe 3 months, and it was once a month, and we were going and meeting in person.
Yeah.
From that, I was producing a couple of women's events, not even in my business, but outside of that I asked her to speak at. So you just never know where that next person is going to come, that you're going to connect with. Because like I said, I've been in Joy's, high-end programs for a number of years. I continue to work with her as a business coach. And so, just consistency and being out there, you never know who you're going to connect with.
So true.
Anyway, just wanted to share that little tidbit because we think maybe it's not reaching people, and it is. This is a proven case right here, right
yes,
now.
right here, right now.
Social media does work to connect people and make money. So, through the years that you've been in business, I'm sure you've faced many challenges. What would be one of your greatest challenges, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. So, of course, there are challenges every day in entrepreneurship because you're forging a path that not many do. And so therefore there are obstacles. Biggest challenge, there've been a lot. So the one I'm going to go with for today, the one that's coming up for me is, my daughter, who is, she's 18 now, but at the time she was just an avid athlete. She played basketball, she played soccer, she was all-star, she was varsity, she played everything. Very athletic, very talented. And she fell in a basketball game at the high school, and she tore her ACL, which anyone who knows that injury knows it's the worst injury that an athlete can have, really. And so this injury resulted in 2 surgeries and a year of 5 days. I'm not joking. 5 days a week, I was in rehab with her to get better. So it was really a year plus, Kathy. At the same time, about 6 months prior to that, I had lost my father. So 6 months before her injury, I lost my father. Then she had her injury. And I'll tell you, I struggled. It's, I'm a good sleeper. And it was a time in my life where I found myself up at 2 a.m., worried about her health, grieving the loss of my father. It was a tough time. And going through that and running a business where many people are counting on you to bring your best to them every day. I will tell you, there were many days that I thought, I just don't know how I'm going to do this. So how did I get through it? I got through it. I'm a big believer in a daily morning process. And throughout all of that, my daughter's injury, all the rehab we had to go through, running the business, I always make sure that I block out an hour every morning. I wake up before anybody in my family wakes up, and I have a whole process that I go through. I practice stillness. I practice meditation. Sometimes I'll read something, a positive poem or something, but I have that solitude, that quiet time. So that's the first thing that got me through. And the second thing that got me through, I believe, is just staying engaged with positive, optimistic people, having a community around me that was spreading positivity, that was championing me, that was, there for me. So I think it was my own personal process, plus making sure that I was cocooned around really positive people and not allowing that toxicity to enter into my life every day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That can be huge. Right.
Right.
For sure. Both of those practices. So, speaking of both of those practices, this last year, in 2020 was a bit crazy, and I can, to say the least. And I think even honing those practices through the last year for us to continue moving forward. And, I'm a big one, and probably because of you, on daily ritual and, silence and solitude in the morning, and prayer and meditation, and getting set up for the right piece of the day. But we've all had to make some shifts in our business. Those who have shifted quicker, I think, have probably had more ease and flow in it, depending upon what it was they were doing. Well, so let me ask you about what, this last year, what had to shift or pivot in your business, and how did you do that?
Yeah, great question. This was a big pivot for us. We Our business model for 15 years, Kathy, as you know, was based on a lot of live events, live work, live workshops, live 2-day retreats, at Southern California hotels and retreat locations. And of course, when the pandemic hit, we had just, fortunately for 2020, we had just finished our retreat for the year up in Santa Barbara. So we were able to hit that milestone. And what a lot of people don't realize is our retreats and events probably produced for 14, 15 years, 85% of our annual revenue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So take that in for a minute, 85% of annual revenue. So all of a sudden it's safer at home. We can't do anything. So what do we do? I'll tell you, my team and I owe a lot to my team. I want to say, and I should give them credit for the question you asked me before also. My team is incredible. And they helped me. They always help me through the challenges that I have, because I can lean on them. They're very committed to the vision. So let me give some credit there. But we immediately realized that we had to spring into an online version of our business. My retreats and my events are called Align Online, because I'm a big believer in that you need to align yourself in certain areas to just feel holistically happy, and in many ways. And so we took our Align retreat, we actually took a version of that and took it online. So where we now have a membership where women meet weekly, 3 times a month. There's a whole host of benefits that go along with it. But to answer your question, we had to pivot quickly. We had to switch lanes. Mm-hmm. And I do want to say that it is true, and there's an old saying out there in business, that you really should stay in your lane and be really good at what you do. You do need to stay in your lane, but let me tell you what I've learned from this pandemic. You also need to have something on both sides of you, so you can switch lanes in case there's an accident or there's road construction, right? So everyone should be thinking about, what are those other services or ways I can go vertical, right, in my industry, so that I can pivot as needed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Love that. That's an important one. The moving, the shifting lanes and going vertical. And what does that look like in your business? To ask yourself that, and how can you? Yeah, and you did it quite well, I will say. Well, you created an amazing online community there with online.
Thank you. Yeah, there were hiccups, but we try to keep those behind the scenes, and that's what I also want to tell everyone. There are going to be hiccups. You're going to make mistakes, but that's okay, because you'll bounce back from it.
Right. Well, I think there's lessons to be learned in the mistakes too.
Gosh, yes.
If we don't take the lesson from the mistake, we're missing out on the benefits of the lesson to begin with.
Absolutely. I so believe that, Kathy. What doesn't challenge you won't change you. And I'm always looking for progress, not perfection. Yeah. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Love that. Progress, not perfection. So let me ask you this: as you've, had all these years in business, now in the wisdom that you do have in business, what would you tell your younger self? What do you wish you had known when you started your business that you know now?
I think what I would tell my younger self is to be a little more patient, that it's all going to work out, and that to make sure that you breathe, and that you take the time to have that alone time with yourself. One of the things that I see I think a lot of women don't do enough of, and I've only learned it in the last 15 years, is taking time for yourself to be alone. I not during the pandemic. I really couldn't do it. But, every year except for 2020, I have always taken 2 silent solo retreats a year. I always go away for 2 or 3 days in January, and I always go away for 2 or 3, sometimes a week in the summer in July to the mountains, right? And I think enough women, one of the things I've learned is that it's really good to learn how to be on your own. It's really good to learn how to be with yourself and not with anyone else, because that's where the real juice, the creativity, your genius, the voices come through, is when you're alone. And I know that's hard. If you've got some women listening who have small children, or they don't have a lot of help with childcare, or things like that, or maybe a single mom is listening, we have to get creative. So initially, just start with, I would have told my younger self, just start with getting up in the morning and have it, 30 minutes to an hour before your family wakes up, and have that time for yourself. But as your children get older, and maybe you have support with your significant other, or with family, or with friends, you really do need to take the leap and go away by yourself. And I know this scares a lot of women, but I will tell you, that's what I would have told my younger self. Learn how to be alone and fall in love with you, and the world will really be at your feet.
Yes. Yeah, that, and you're right. It is a scary thing. I mean, I remember the first time that I did that, probably at your prompting, along with some of the other ladies in the group you were leading. It was a scary place to be, right? But once you've experienced it once and understand the golden nuggets that come in that, right? Right? It's absolutely worth it. And I agree. Some of the people listening may not be able to, particularly right now with, kids being homeschooled and all that kind of stuff. But if there's a way for you to find a couple of hours, trading times with, if you're in sort of an education pod or something like that. I have one client who does that. They have a family that they're in their pod with, and they switch back and forth. So each of the moms has, a few hours each week to be on their own and not have that I don't want to say burden, but it is. I mean, none of us expect, oh, thank God I don't have kids at home. None of us expected, and women didn't expect to be teaching their kids. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So if you had any other tip to give women entrepreneurs right now, as we're moving into 2020 and looking to the future, and there's still a lot of fear and anxiety and uncertainty and all that, what would be a tip that you would give women to, to keep moving forward and keep striving for?
That's a great question, Kathy. What's coming up for me right now is I was listening to a song when I was out for my walk this morning. It's by Lauren Elena, and it's I'm sorry, I don't recall the title of the song, but it's the chorus is "Go where you're planted," and really be happy where you're planted. And so here's what I would say to that. I see a lot of women pining away for what they wish they had. So for example, if only I had 50,000 followers on Instagram, my life would be better. My business would be better. I'd make more money. If only I had $1 million in cash, stuck under my mattress in my bed, I'd be happy. If only, right? I'll tell you, if only my parents would have gotten me braces, when I was young. Yeah, I wouldn't have a gap in my front teeth, if only, but they didn't, So, so I would say that if you have an impact that you want to make, if you're serious about the impact that you want to make with your product or your service, if you have an idea, there's never been a better time to get started for a woman than right now. I'm telling you right now, today, February 5th, I think it is, or 4th, is the day to get started. And you start with where you are, with what you have. You start with where you are, with what you have, and you stay consistent. And I think that's the biggest challenge that I see that I would offer women today, that you've got to just get started. And a great quote that I think is important to share here by Cindy Pink, CEO, who I interviewed on my podcast, and I really love it, and it is true, but a lot of people don't want to hear it. It's F the unicorn, be the workhorse. F the unicorn, be the workhorse. If you're following or looking for someone to tell you, to give you the magic bullet, I'll just tell you, it's probably not going to happen. We have to work for what we want in life. And so I'm sorry to be that, maybe the bearer of bad news here for that. But I want to tell you, if you've got an impact that you're passionate about and you have something that you want to do in your life that that's going to make a difference, then just share that message consistently and start where you are. And even if you only have your friends and family following you, just start telling them. And if you're compelling enough, then they'll tell their friends, and then those friends will tell their friends. And the other thing that I would say right now is ask for what you want. Pick up the phone, call people. If there's someone that's connected to someone else that you need to meet because that could move your business forward, pick up the phone and ask. Send them a DM on Instagram, send them a PM on Facebook, whatever it takes. I guess the point I'm trying to make, Kathy, is now's the time. Now's the time for women. It has never cost so little to start a business. So many things with the technology are free right now. Right. When I started my medical equipment company, my little medical equipment company that grew and grew and grew back in the late 90s, I mean, hell, I had to come up with 10 grand fast. Today, that's not necessary. You really can get started on a shoestring if you really want to for a few $1,000s. So I guess the point is there's no excuses anymore. There, does that answer the question?
It does. It does. It's like, get out of your own way, girlfriend.
Yes, get out of your own way. Stop saying, if I only had this. And by the way, I know a lot of people with 50,000 followers and maybe $1 million of cash under their bed springs. And I will tell you, they're not happy people. so that won't make you happy. It won't make your story better. You're going to make your story better.
Right.
Your listeners, I'm talking to your listeners right now because you're out there every day. I admire you. I admire you're a go-getter. You don't let grass grow under your feet. You make things happen. And you fall down. Sure, we all do. We're all constantly falling down, but we get back up, right. And that's the key if you're here to make an impact.
Right. Absolutely. I just want to elaborate on that just for a touch too. We talk about this, but I think it's also important not to be comparing yourself to everybody else. Right. When you talk about having all those followers and all this, and so I can't, right? We get in our heads and we say we can't. Sorry, we're the yes, I can community. You're comparing somebody else's, middle or end to your beginning. And I love this idea, Joy, of start where you are, be okay with that, embrace it, and, spread from there. So.
Yeah, so true. I love that. Yeah, you've just got to start where you are with what you have, and it'll grow from there, and you'll ask for support. And asking for support doesn't mean that you're weak. Asking for support doesn't mean that you're not smart. It just means that you need help, and that you want to get there faster. When I was in my, before I turned 40, I used to get an idea for my business and I used to say to myself, gosh, how am I going to get all this done? Because I could see all the pieces that were landing, I felt like, on my head. I stopped doing that in my 40s. When I get an idea now, you know what I ask myself? I say, I wonder who can help me with this. And I start picking up the phone and I start texting people and I start sending messages to people because I realize I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
Right? I need a community around me.
Right. Well, we're not, I firmly believe, and I talk about this, we're not meant to do this alone. We may get in our little lane and think that, like the little engine that could, I think I can. And it's all about, doing it on your own, but it's not. You're a stronger woman. Asking for support in the right areas from the right people, and then getting out of your own way and asking for those big things, right? If you've got somebody you're wanting to connect with, but you're scared to reach out because they're up here and you're down here, right? Go for it. I say, go for
Absolutely.
it. And so, get out of your own way and ask for the support in all areas of your life, not even just business.
Every area.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that when I told my husband and my family that I needed to start going away for these solo retreats by myself for 2 days, I got to tell you, they looked at me like I was crazy and they didn't like it. Because as we know, moms make everything work. We make sure all the trains are running on time. We are the matriarchs. We run it all. But I knew that for my own personal growth, I needed it. I had to have it. So I hope that's helpful to some of your listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, how would you define success?
Mm, how would I define success? That's a great, okay. So to me, success is if you can achieve what it is that you want to achieve in your life, whether it's in business, whether it's in, nonprofit, whether it's in philanthropy, whatever it is, whatever goal you're going for, if you can achieve that in life and still have the love of your family and a quality relationship with the people that you love, to me, that's success. It's not, I don't think of success monetarily so much. I obviously work hard. I want to take care of my family. I want to contribute, but that's not my definition of success. Success to me is being, staying healthy, uh, making my impact, but also making sure that I have the quality time with my family and the people that I love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that. What a great definition of success. So, and I'm sure there's many others who resonate with that. So let me ask you, if somebody is listening and they're like, man, I need to know more about this Joy Chudacoff, where can they connect with you?
Well, I am on all the social media platforms. However, I really do hang out a lot more these days on Instagram. So you can always find me at Joy Chudacoff on Instagram. I'm over there every day. I am on Facebook too. I'm just not there as often. So you can connect with me there. And you can also visit our website at smartwomensolutions.com. And you can also just Google joychudacoff.com as well. And then I have a podcast, She's Got Moxie.
Mm-hmm.
We download our episodes every Wednesday, and it's everywhere you listen on to podcasts. And we'd love to have you take a listen. And we do pretty much a lot of what Kathy's doing here, interviewing other women who are, flexing their moxie muscle and willing to share the journey with us. So thank you.
Yeah. It's a great podcast. It is on my subscribed list, and I do listen to it when I take Miss Millie out for her afternoon walk.
Yeah, listening to podcasts is great when we walk the dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do that too.
Absolutely. It's yes, and it doesn't make it feel so long, and there's great nuggets to be taken away with podcasts. So
for sure,
really a good use of my time and our listeners. Okay, so let me ask you my final question.
Okay.
What makes you a yes, I can woman?
What makes me a yes, I can woman? That's a great question. I think what makes me a yes, I can woman is I am really passionate about supporting other people, other women. I'm getting a little emotional. I'm just really passionate about seeing other women and really people, but I focus on women, achieve their dreams and sort of, take the ordinary and become extraordinary. Because anyone can be extraordinary. And so I think that's what makes me a yes woman. I just could not do all the things that I'm doing. And so I say yes to the things that I really feel like are in my wheelhouse, in my genius, where I can really make a difference for women in the world. And that's what makes me a yes, I can. I would never, when I get ready to throw in the towel and, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but when I finally say I'm going to retire, I don't want to have any regrets. That's why I'm a yes, I can woman. I don't want to look back with any regrets that I could have done something more and I didn't. So that's it for me.
Sure. Yeah. No, woulda, coulda, shouldas. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
That is definitely living the yes, I can life. Joy, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you sharing on the podcast and exposing all these great nuggets to our guests. And for those of you who joined us today, thank you for joining us. I know that you have got some golden nuggets to take away with you today. Great tools, great resources, great ideas. And I hope you will implement at least one of the things that you heard today on today's podcast with Joy. All right, until next time, I hope you have a great day. And here's to living your Yes, I Can life. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.